Liberals hate to see it, but President Trump is on a roll.
He seemed to be adios amigos. People were writing his political obituary. He is rising from the dead like Methuselah. Look at this. Hello, Trump's net approval rating among voters. This is the Reuters Ipsos polling. Look at this. In late April, he was 8 points underwater. But look at where he was in the most recent poll among voters. He's up 7 points to a -1 point net favorability rating. Donald Trump's not just doing better than he was doing in late April of 2025. He's doing considerably better than he was doing at this point in term number one, about 10 points better than he was doing at this point in term number one.
47's riding high in the polls after delivering a Middle East masterclass, Jessica, bringing home trillions in new U.S. investments from the Gulf states. And yeah, he still found time to clap back at Bruce Springsteen's overseas meltdown, where the boss called him corrupt and treasonous. Trump saying Bruce is, quote, just a pushy, obnoxious jerk who fervently supported crooked Joe Biden. This dried-out prune of a rocker, his skin is all atrophied, ought to keep his mouth shut until he gets back into the country. And as he battles aging rockers, Trump's giving a lesson in humility on his Mideast tour.
I'm just thinking, we have a president of the United States doing the selling. Do you think Biden would be doing it? I don't think so. But it's so important. I think I have to be a cheerleader for our country. That's why our country is doing so well. You know the sad part? Whoever's next president, let's just say whoever's the next president is going to say, what a great job they did. Look, I built all these plants. I built all these factories. Can you imagine? I'll be sitting home. Who the hell knows where I'll be? And I'll say, I did that.
All right, Jessica, Masterclass, it's not really in dispute. So my question to you is, how big of a masterclass was this?
Not in dispute at all. Approval rating bump. That's real life. I live and die by the polls, but that is directly related to him cleaning up his own tariffs mess. So that's moving from the 145% tariff on China to just 30%, where, you saw the CEO from Walmart, I presume, saying that the prices are going to go up. So we'll wait for that. And while we were in the commercial break, Moody's downgraded our credit for the first time in the agency's history. So all good news all around, Masterclass. In terms of the big headlines, anytime that we're not talking about the $400 million bribe that he's taking from the Qataris. And the jet is a good one, but
it's been around forever.
What?
It's been around forever, that so-called bribe. They were talking to the Biden administration about it.
Yeah, and who didn't take it? Joe Biden. And who did take it?
We got it for
Donald
free.
Trump. Anyway,
Biden would probably buy it, give it to Hunter.
Hoodles. He has all of these big headlines, right? We're getting all of this investment, like the $8.5 billion out of Qatar for Texas energy company McDermott. That was already announced in 2023 and 2024. Abu Dhabi, he says, a new $200 billion. That's a cloud computing deal with Amazon, also announced during the Biden administration. Saudis allegedly giving us $600 million. We haven't billion, I'm sorry. Haven't documented all of it, but we do know that the airport project was announced last August. So the Washington Post has documented all of this, that at least a half a dozen of the contracts that he's talking about happened under the Biden administration. And that is something that Trump likes to do. He likes to show up and then take credit for things that
what about the other half?
People did. The other half, I'll give it to you, $300 billion of the $600 billion. But don't go out there and say you got $1.4 trillion in investment when you didn't really. Or at least give a nice, signal to the previous guy and say, hey, actually,
there is no previous guy. We already know there was no Joe Biden. So it's kind of hard to give him any credit.
He does have a birth certificate, and we did see him. Yes. He's not African.
Well, he claimed he was a Jewish Puerto Rican truck driver. Greg,
aren't we all?
You seem to want to challenge some of her assertions.
Greg's excited that I'm back.
I just like annoying her, that's all.
Me too.
Bruce should go to the Cracker Barrel, because their porch needs an aging rocker. Oh, thank you so much for that. Yeah, Trump's like a pound of pastrami. He's on a roll. It really is about your filter. Trump's filter is anything is possible in this world. What's the Democrat filter? Everything's happening to you. It's their fault. That's where identity politics came from. You're being oppressed. It's not fair. Nothing's fair. You can't do anything about it. Bruce Springsteen goes around the world and tells everybody Trump is doing something to you. Then he hops in a plane and he leaves. What do those people do? There's nothing they can do. He's screwed up their mindset. He's telling them they're basically victims. Springsteen, I don't want to get into that situation where you go after a celebrity because he says something you disagree with, because you're a hypocrite. If you like Kid Rock because he's pro-Trump and you don't like Springsteen because he's pro-Biden, that's wrong. What you can hit him for is being lame, right? Number one, he's doing this in England. Number two, he's doing it in a way where there are no follow-up questions to whatever he's saying. And the best thing about this is that he just creates more rebels. Like, this guy used to rail against the man, and every time he opens his mouth, he is the man. Everybody looks at him and goes, God, you know what? The people that he doesn't like are actually more fun. These young people that he's, like, mad about, some of them might be his fans. They're having a great time. He's now the old guy on the lawn, shaking his rake at a cloud. His voice is raspy. He looks like, well, I'll just leave it at that.
Okay, you've said enough about aging rockers. Martha, what do you think Jessica was trying to say there? Because I couldn't really figure it out.
Spoke just fine.
No, I'm still trying to figure it out because, like,
she said the numbers don't necessarily add up, but I would just say this: some of the response from Democrats is, it's amazing what can be accomplished when the president isn't effing brain dead, says a senior congressional Democratic aide. This whole Middle East trip shows for a lot of negotiations, what you really need is somebody who has the energy and level-headedness to actually get it done. And I think a lot of Democrats sit back, especially people who worked for Joe Biden, and they see that he never looked at these things strategically. He went in there with the fist bump because he was only thinking 30 seconds ahead of that moment, right? So what are people going to say when I actually greet him? Then at the G20 later, he shakes his hand as if that's some sort of big accomplishment with MBS, with the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia. But, think back on this, because Joe Biden was never capable of this kind of bold action and thinking when it came to the Middle East. If it were up to Joe Biden, Osama bin Laden could still be alive. He was a no-go in that moment in the Situation Room, right? And that's who Joe Biden is. He is not the person who's going to walk in there and shake up the chessboard and say, look, we have a lot of past. You talk about the human rights violations. Look at Japan. Years after World War II, we figured out a way to work on the same page. No one denies 9/11. The fact of the matter is that after a war, which is what we had over 9/11, you have to start to put the pieces back in. What you say is, how about if we're friends and we isolate Iran? This is what President Trump is doing. Iran is looking at all of this going, we're out in the cold. And maybe it's actually time that we should make a deal. So that's the big message here. And President Trump said, no 30-page proposal for Iran. It's one page. You cannot have nuclear weapons. If you pursue this program, we will obliterate you. So that's the choice that's on Iran's table. We're going to watch that really closely. But Biden never had the kind of boldness to do what we saw this week.
I'm sorry. I'm just still stuck on what Jessica said.
But you didn't even understand it.
Hear me out. No, I think I'm trying to figure this out. So you're saying that Trump spent all week signing all of these billion-dollar deals, and no other person from the Biden administration put their hand up and said, we did that. That was us. The first I'm hearing from it is from you, Jessica.
It wouldn't be the first time that I didn't think the Biden administration did their comms correctly.
Okay. You'd think someone would be like, oh, that was our deal. But no, it's just strange where she pulls these things out of.
Out of the Washington Post.
Again, that doesn't help your cause.
What are you talking about?
It's the Washington Post.
Jeff Bezos is a Trumper now.
He is?
Have you not been paying attention?
Then it's half right. Go ahead.
Here's what I find hilarious, though, because everything that you said, Martha, is so correct, right? The reason why Joe Biden didn't do it or couldn't is because we saw what happened after 5 decades. The same status quo and the same leaving our blood and treasure in different countries all over the world because no one had a bigger or a greater or a different vision to not just incur and not just blow in, but actually to say, a long-term economic investment where all parties have the same vested positive interest as many of those countries that Trump met with all week were saying prior to October 7th, that all hate the Iranian proxies because they are absolutely interfering with the prospect of economic flourishing under our partnership. Nothing like that would have happened. So the fact that a high-ranking Biden official literally said, like, oh, younger Joe Biden could have done that. They said, he could have done the deal with the Houthis, absolutely, when he was chair of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee. It reminds me of watching the Olympics, when we're all seeing, fat and eating chips on our couches, and we're watching these, 17-year-olds, race 10 miles in 5 seconds and being like, oh, she didn't point her toes. I give her the silver. Like the armchair quarterbacking and not recognizing the incredible feat this is, that it shattered the norms of decades that you can only do something this way and there's an absolute separation between business and economic interests. I mean, it kills me. But what's funny is Trump calling himself like the cheerleader for America. Obviously, I was like, I've got it. And then I was like, what is the analogy? What was Biden? And then I thought to myself, yeah, he was Walt Coleman. He was the ref that called the tuck rule. While Trump is the cheerleader for America that gets things done, Biden was the ref that blocked teams from any type of advancement. He's the one that called the immaculate reception when it should have been an incomplete pass. And every Steeler fan and every Patriots fan, I'm talking to you.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.